Hello everyone and welcome back to the video. So today we're going to be doing So You Want to Play Empire Wars, and this is going to be a little guide on how to play Empire Wars, and it's a perfect time to do so because it just came to ranked. Both Empire Wars 1v1 and Team Game are now on the ranked ladder, and as you can see I've yet to play a game of 1v1 Empire Wars. I have played some 2v2s though before, but 1v1 is yet to be played on this account. So we're going to go ahead and play our first game today. But I'm also going to go ahead and explain certain things and give you guys a few tips and tricks on how to play the early game. Obviously, there's no Dark Age. It starts in the Feudal Age. And you start with 28 vills and a scout, so it's quite hectic. You need to already know what to do before hopping into one of these games. You don't have that regular time window where you can kind of figure your shit out and get your mind into the game. So I'll give you guys a few tips and tricks of how I like to play it, and also showcase some of the standard rules of the opening, because there's not really a build order yet, but there is a few rules for openings that I will showcase and help hopefully make the start easy for you guys, because I don't want Hera viewers, I don't want our community members here to go out in this rank ladder and hand out free wins on the Empire War ladder. You know what I mean? I want if you guys lose, I want your opponent to have earned it. I want them to have played better than you and therefore beat you. And that's fine. You know, maybe they're Viper viewers or something. If they play better, it's totally good. But for us, we don't give away free wins. We like to do our research first and our studying, and then hop into the rank ladder with a pretty good understanding of how to play. I should have already been queuing. I have to queue Empire Wars. I don't mind playing any map, but just for the sake of this video, I'm going to go ahead and favorite Runestones because I think that's the most straightforward map. But real quick, while we're in queue, we can talk about the different maps and give you guys my explanation or my best picks, best civs for them. Acclivity, if you guys are familiar with it, just take a look at it. You basically start with low resources, low gold and stone, but you have a few woodlands around you. It's generally speaking a fairly easy wall, and then on the outside there is some rocky area as well as in the middle, separating both players, which is a little bit of a rocky, hilly area where you can barely build, and there's gold and stone around the outside. I recommend archer civs on this one, like Britons, Ethiopians are really good. And Vikings also are pretty solid as well, but Meso civs are kind of the counter to archer civs, so I think those are like kind of how the meta's played right now in Acclivity, but feel free to play any aggressive civ because it is a very aggressive map. Eruption is one with gold in the center. A lot of civs can work there. Berbers for cav is really good. Tatars for cav archers is really good, although I think Tatars are kind of hard to play because you don't really get the center oftentimes. They usually get pushed off there. You don't get used to the hill bonus. Meso is also really good. Frigid Lake cavalry civs are generally speaking a bit better, but all that aside, we got some runestones to take care of here. I'm just going to go random civ, I guess, and see what happens. I don't know. This could be a really good player. This could be a really bad player. It's going to be an average player. I have no idea what to expect here. We got Berbers versus Huns, and this is a pretty nice matchup. So generally speaking, pay attention to my early game here, because on Empire Wars, there's really basic things that once you know them, you'll never make the mistake again. And one of them is start off by getting your sheep all together, and then you want to make a production building. Since I'm going to go scouts in this matchup, I use my gold villagers to make it. That's the first step, gold villagers to make the production building. And then after you use the gold villagers, you send them elsewhere. I see my deer, so I'll send them. If I didn't, I'll send them to either sheep under the TC, or I'll send a few of them to wood, no problem. I'll separate them. After the production building, you get double biddocks. You do this in pretty much every single game. If you go for an archer build, you just make a range instead of the stable, and then right after that you just go for double biddocks, and you don't remove your gold villagers. Instead you just make the range with anything on the front, either wood villager or sheep villager. And then after that you don't get horse scholar, you just make a few scouts. Then look to wall your map while scouting. You have the option of sending your scout forward as well, but I think that's a bit more maybe advanced or maybe a bit more ballsy. Can't really afford a scout here. There we go. Berbers without the strongest early game eco, but they pick up in castle for sure. And then just start walling your map here with a couple of villagers. Don't be afraid to use multiple villagers. I like to get a good understanding of the map here before moving out to my opponents. It is a bit laggy here, but that's okay. I'll be fine here. Hopefully you guys are not too bothered by this little lag. And then once you have a good idea of how you want to wall the map, then you can just go ahead and attack your opponent. And if you want to play more aggressive than this, that's fine. You can just simply go attack your opponent right away and then risk being open at home, which is not that bad a risk if you have mobile units like the scouts anyways. Alright, so now that I have a decent idea of how I want to wall the map, let's just check if it's walled there to the edge. Yeah, I'm walling with a few villagers and just making farms with the other ones, no problem. Go with a few scouts, and let's just go attack my opponent. It's actually quite laggy here, which I'm not a fan of, but it is what it is. We record only one game for these videos, so even if the game is good, bad, it doesn't really matter. We gotta commit to just one game here, because or else I can just pick out the best game for me, and I don't think it's too genuine. So I've only, throughout the series, only if Kind of changed up a few games, and I feel like that was because I didn't showcase what the Civ is actually made of, what the Civ specializes in. If I lose too quickly, for example. Alright, and looks like my opponent's stonewalling here, so that's why it's important to put aggression, because if you feel like your opponent's stonewall, you look like a fool if you make scouts and your opponent is just stonewalled in your face. So, you know, spend a minute at home maybe, and then just go ahead and attack your opponent. So again, this guy might not be the best player, but I hope showcasing just the early game starts is going to help so much. And notice I'm just going to go back onto gold now as well. And another thing I want to just showcase is how I love to build a second mining camp on the golds, because the gold camp that they give you is usually terrible. So just building a second one is so helpful, and doing it with the deer vills is fine. This works for both scout play, or scout into knights, or for archer play. And I'm just kind of slaughtering this guy's vills here, which kind of feel bad about, but at the same time it's for a guide, so I guess it's a noble cause. She's still walling up. Let's go ahead and snipe that spear real quick. And yeah, once I have the gold, I'll just be able to click up to the next stage here. And for scout build and for archer build, we don't get horse collar because you simply can't afford it if you want to put pressure on. So if you want to go horse collar, you're not going to be able to afford any scouts really. So it's kind of painful in that regard. Okay, let's just go ahead and scout here. And it's actually very, very laggy here. I wish it wasn't this laggy, but I guess so. Alright, and there we are. Fantastic. So once I get full walled, and I'm already up to castle age, and you might be wondering, like, is this normal? Is this a normal castle time? This is generally speaking how every single Empire War game goes. Few strategies aside, and I'm gonna get the regular upgrades, gold mining and horse collar now. Pretty similar to random map, except maybe the horse collar usually getting feudal for scout play. And if my opponent's stonewalling, I'll just push him in castle age, no problem. But yeah, this is a pretty standard Empire War game. Like, you usually just do a little bit of army and feudal age, and then just go for castle age. On the way up, we're going to get the standard upgrades that we normally get. Berbers specialize in knights, so I'm going to go ahead and push with knights. If there's one thing I can tell you for Empire Wars, though, and this is one thing I recommend, generally speaking, is to play aggressively. This is a game mode that rewards aggressive play very, very much so. Not under the TC aggressive like this fellow. He's auto-scouting. Okay. But it is good to be aggressive in general, because you usually don't have time to set up that 3TC boom. If you go with like aggression early castle age and your opponent commits to TCs, then he's probably going to be behind a lot of resources, and he might just actually die to your push because you're getting castle age so fast, and TCs take quite a while to pay off. So in this case, he's stonewalling, and I don't think he's the highest level of player, so we'll probably be able to kill him with 3 stable knights. But generally speaking, like, all-in strategies or aggressive strategies work really well in this game mode. So if you're an aggressive player, feel free to mess around with a few of those. And the last thing I want to mention, oh, as I let him in! I let him in because I made a gate. Okay, adding some spice to the game, I guess. Alright, a little gift there for him. Alright, we have to quick wall this. During the lag, it's going to be difficult. Can I get it? Oh, no, not possible. Well, it may be possible, but not for me. Okay, this is turning into a disaster here. That's really funny, though. I kind of go to some last-minute drama here. Quick walls? No, not happening here. Alright, let's build that third stable. But yeah, the last thing I want to mention as far as early game ideas is pretty much the use of the market. Empire Wars is something that's very, very new to the game. Despite us having several editions, no one can say that they 100% figured out build orders on it yet, or 100% figured out how to play exactly where each civ goes and how to deal with all sorts of pressure. Like kind of how random map is more or less discovered at this point, Empire Wars, you can't say the same thing. So my best recommendation is to use the market if you're having trouble with eco balance in the early game. And this is something I would never say for random map, because you never need it in random map unless you get pushed. But Empire Wars market to balance your gold or your wood or whatever is a very good tool if you're not experienced, and feel free to use it. It also helps you sell stone and go for all-in strategies. So again, the market is just a good resource on this map, or on this game mode I should say, and it's not taboo to use it like I would say it is for random map. So that's really the best tips and tricks I can get you guys right off the bat. I'm pretty experienced in Empire Wars. I played in all the tournaments, and I did pretty well in all of them. And I've obviously trained a lot in the background, so it's not just the games in the tournament. So I feel like I've seen enough to say that I'm pretty certain that this is how most games should be played. Okay, I guess that's karma. Or not karma. I had a hole, now he has a hole. What's the word for that? It's funny. It's funny. I'm laughing my ass off. It's hilarious. We'll use that word for now. Yeah, that's pretty much all the tips and tricks. So just to recap, production building first, then double bid axe. Second gold mine is totally fine. upgrades on the way up, like RM is pretty standard. Skip Horse Scholar for both Cav and Archers. And then feel free to play aggressively and use the market to help you do so. In a nutshell, that's kind of like my 5 tips and tricks. And then just an example of this with the random civ here, like Berbers is playing in the background. So we're going to wait for this guy to resign and call this video. Hopefully that has given you guys a good amount of knowledge on how to play this this civilization. Obviously, don't get housed. And oh, he did resign. And no GG from him. Say GG. If you lose, it happens. Say GG. Who am I to say, though? I've had my fair share of rage quits in the past, and even up to the recent past here and there. Who knows? I don't remember the last time I did it, but I'm sure it's happened. GG nonetheless. Princess Tofu, you've been a fantastic opponent here for this guide. Good game, but hopefully he'll sort out the lag issues. He or she will sort out the lag issues going forward, make for some more enjoyable games. But nonetheless, hopefully that's been a really nice video to watch, and hopefully it's going to give you guys, once again, a little bit of a clue of how to play Empire Wars as you now can play it on the ranked ladder. Thanks all for watching, and if you're watching this on Twitch as part of the subathon, make sure to sub it up and keep the stream going, and maybe even the hype train going if there is one at the current moment, which probably not, because honestly this is a short-ish video. But anyway, keep the stream going with the subs. I'll be back when I wake up. Take care. Those on YouTube as well, thanks for watching. See you guys next time. Peace.